Come on, RC, let's go!
But Hot Rod and Cup are still outside the city.
We can't wait. They'll have to take care of themselves. Come on! Cup and Hot Rod just bought it.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about X-Transbots. Are they getting caught up? Are they catching up with all of the promises they've made? Seems like we should be getting this Springer very soon. It's already in hands. Finished product is in hands of some people. There's a review out there already. So it's only a matter of days or weeks till you get yours. There's a massive twist of irony that's going on with a couple of the figures associated with Fanstoys. We'll talk about that. And of course, then we'll get into the other promises that X-Transbots has made, and will they keep those this year? We'll talk about this, that, and more coming up. Now, whether you like the trailer for Minosaur or not, the trailer for Minosaur was one of the promises they kept. The G2 trailer was coming, and it was coming before Virtus, and we've been waiting on Virtus for years, but it's sort of one of the priorities of theirs to complete their combiners, unlike some other companies. Now, it's not the greatest transformation in the world, but getting it from trailer to combine mode is not the end of the world. Stopping at the base along the way is kind of the end of the world, but it does look pretty good at the end result. They did a pretty good job. G2 collectors get their Minosaur. They most recently put out their MX3 Plus Elagos and Elagos. This is the metallic version of their Cyclonus, and Cyclonus is a pretty good bot. It's a beefy bot. I'm not sure if I like the more lavender look they went for on this. I kind of like the original color a little bit more, but this is going to be painted with a very nice finish, and everybody that has this in hand says it looks amazing. Now, I don't really view this as a promise or a catch-up so much. I actually view this more of kind of, hey, we're going to get ours out before Fanstoys and the KOs and all that kind of stuff show up. But I also view it more as, let's generate some quick cash so that we could keep producing these new figures that are coming. 3, 4, 5 more in 2022. So in all honesty, Springer's coming next. Virtus is on the way. I think it's pretty much done. Stick a fork in it. The production's done. We've been waiting for years. I think I pre-ordered mine 3, maybe 4 years ago, and that is crazy. And that's the longest running pre-order that I have. Now, I'm still excited for it. Maybe the excitement is bubbling back up, but it went away for 2 years. I just stopped being excited because I had no idea when it's going to come. But now that it's on the way, I'm starting to get more and more excited and looking back through these old pictures. But lucky for us, we got new pictures from people that have it in hand so we can see actually how good it looks and not just stare at a bunch of fun renders. We get to really see how this guy looks. I have to say, I think the actual product looks better than the renders. I like the contrast, I like the way it looks, I like the colors that are used, and the aesthetic. And I do think that it has all of the Springer parts and pieces and aesthetic that you would expect from this character, from the shoulders to the chest, to the way the legs work, and all of that. I think it looks pretty good. Now, this is a picture of the bottom of the helicopter mode, and I think it's shipped, and I have a picture somewhere, I think it's shipped in the actual car mode, but still not 100% sure if it's the helicopter mode and slightly converted. We'll find out. Here's the helicopter mode from the top, and just looks phenomenal. I just think this looks outstanding, and in my opinion, we're going to go through and do a few comparisons, but I think it's just the best one in this mode. This is the best helicopter mode that I've seen so far, and there's been a lot of really good ones. Here it is in the packaging. It does appear to be in the car mode then, and then you can flip it to from car to helicopter to bot, which is probably what I'm going to do with the minimal amount of paint rub, because it is painted, it is premium, but it packs a lot in this little box. Here it is out of the box and then flipped into helicopter mode, and just, you can see it's a small box. It's not a huge box. So they can pack this thing way down and then cram a whole lot of stuff in that styrofoam. And I'm perfectly fine with that. It makes a lot of sense. Here's a picture of him in bot mode from the back. And I do want to say it is a bit of a big backpack, but I think most of them have a pretty big backpack. I think the one that has the smallest backpack is probably the MMC, and then the open and play. But Fanstoys has a relatively big backpack. This might be bigger than the rest of them too. This might be the worst angle to look at this figure. But again, I don't look at my figures from the back. Okay, so before I compare all the modes of this to the ones that we already got from Fanstoys, I do want to point out something, and I'm not really going to be going much deeper than this with the Outrider or the Trailbreaker, but this is a bit of irony. Years ago, we got Fanstoys Apache, but we were waiting on X-Transbots to wrap up this whole Springer War situation. And the same time, almost around the exact same time, X-Transbots puts out their Trailbreaker, but we're waiting on Outrider from Fanstoys. So almost within months of each other, these figures come out from opposing companies. And now years later, the opposite figures are coming out from the opposite company at almost the exact same time. Because we're supposed to get Outrider next from Fanstoys. So there's a coming soon video from Fanstoys. This is a strange twist of irony that it's going on like this, and in my head it makes sense. It's kind of like direct yet indirect competition for Fanstoys and X-Transbots. Takara too, but I really don't think it's the same type of competition and rivalry. Alright, so let's do this comparison here from X-Transbots, Virtus on the left and Apache on the right. Now obviously I'm going to do this in person when I have them in hand, but it's always kind of fun to kind of do this beforehand and get a good look and see how it's going to work. So starting at the top, I've always thought that this character is a bit of a bulky character, but I kind of feel like Fanstoys made it a bit too bulky, a little bit too big up top, but still not too bad. I don't think it looks bad at all. I'm looking at mine right now. I'm looking at these pictures, and there are certain angles that you can make the Fanstoys one look even better. But I think they did it right. Maybe a little bit too small, the shoulder pads on the X-Transbots, but that looks pretty good. The head sculpts both look great. X-Transbots might win the head sculpt. The chest is good on... I like the X-Transbots a little bit better, but the accuracy piece might actually go to Fanstoys. Going down to the waist area, I think they're both about a bit of a tie. And I think the X-Transbots one, the chest sort of stops and the waist begins, but it's not. It's kind of a blur, but it's a very distinct where the chest stops and the waist begins on Fanstoys. So that's a little bit better. But I do like the waist completely better on X-Transbots and Fanstoys. And then getting down to kind of the hips, they both have pluses and minuses. I think Fanstoys cleans up and closes up a little bit better, but I kind of think it'll be a little bit easier for articulation with the X-Transbots. But X-Transbots completely wins the lower leg category. Just down below, the lower legs look so much better. And that's one of my biggest issues with the Fanstoys was the lower legs. And it's just a bit too bulky. This one's a lot more thin. But let's check the alt modes. Now, not really having the car, I'm using the render for X-Transbots. So that's a little unfair because I don't have a really good shot of the car and the same angles. There's similar angles. But I do admit, I think the car is the weakest version, the weakest of the three modes for Fanstoys, but it still holds strong when you look at X-Transbots. And it is very tune accurate, and I think it just delivers what Fanstoys does not. Not that I'm going to be displaying it like this, and not like that it really matters a whole lot to me. The bot mode and the helicopter mode are my two favorite, so some people out there might want the car mode looking the best, though. Getting into helicopter mode, I do want to say that I do believe that X-Transbots wins the helicopter mode for a few reasons. First of all, it has all of the colors correct and the proportions more correct than the Fanstoys. But Fanstoys 1 isn't bad, but I think the X-Transbot just really blows away the competition when it comes to helicopter mode, and it looks the best in the helicopter mode, and it is the most tune accurate. Now, we could split hairs, and at the end of the day, if you just like the way something looks better, it really doesn't matter if it's tune accurate at the end of the day, because the cartoon itself had so many different variations, and you really can't go 100% by that. So it's more or less, how does it look in your head, and does it work for you? So I still like the Virtus one better. And here we go with, now this is a Sunbow picture next to, I guess it's photoshopped in with the actual real Virtus with some extremely bright lights. That must be my review station. And then there's Apache on the right. So looking at this, I just look at it and just all of the aspects of X-Transbots, I believe, hits the original tune a lot closer. But then again, this is Sunbow. This is not what we see on the cartoon, on the show, exactly. So, I mean, we could go through frame by frame and try to find the better look. but still, neither one nail it 100%, and it's really up to you again. But I do feel like X-Transbots took the extra time to go closer to tune, and they win that department. Now, the colors look a bit washed out because of the light and the lighting, but I've seen other pictures where it looks a lot closer color-wise to the animation. Okay, so what else is X-Transbots supposed to be giving us? Where are they getting caught up? Well, they've promised us this figure earlier this year, and it's the new Ultra Magnus. Now, for them to try to catch up on what they call Commander Stack before they catch up on some of the other ones is kind of strange. To me, it is they're trying to be first to the market or quick to the market or fast to the market. But this says arrival in June, and last I checked, it's June 3rd when you watch this. So it's strange. Will they hit June on this? I don't know. I really don't know. But my understanding, this is the one that would be coming after Virtus, and then maybe some reissues or something. But that's interesting. There's another one planned for June. But let's take a look at a couple of these pictures here. Here is the alt mode. I do think the alt mode looks pretty good overall. There's not a whole lot about the alt mode or all that, and I haven't seen a transformation yet, so I really don't know. But it really seems like they shouldn't do too much. It shouldn't be too bad of a transformation. Every time I say that, it bites me, though. Here he is standing next to Optimus Prime, or MP44, and it's just sort of like almost as if they know what Takara is going to do, or Fanstoys is going to do, and they want to beat everyone to the punch well in advance so there's no trouble or whatever. But I do think it's going to be a pretty good release. Okay, so the other June release is Dante, or their take on Inferno. Now, I think it looks pretty good, and I don't have any problems with it, but I'm perfectly happy with my Takara, and I'm not in on this one. No negativity at all. This one will probably look better, have better premium paint, and just look more heroic and more heroic proportions, but I'm happy with my Takara, so I'm fine with it. I think I paid like $50 for $40 for a KO of the Takara one, so I'm happy with it. Now, looking at the alt mode, that alt mode looks pretty good too. I mean, it does look really good. Attention to detail. I don't know about the transformation on this. This is one of those old designs from 5 years ago that they've revived and are now putting out, which I think is great that they're doing it, but in my case, a little too little and a little too late. But in other people's case that don't have an Inferno are going to be all over this. So now getting into what they're saying is September, so I don't see anything in August, but maybe I missed whatever's supposed to come in August. So in September, this is what they call Frankenstein, or it's their Autobot X or their Autobot Spike. And with that, it looks really good. Now, I have the other one that was like Blue Lobster or something. I forgot which company made the other one. It's just basically PVC, and it does not have hardly any articulation. This will be highly articulated, but does not transform, which maybe you wouldn't want this to transform. I don't know what it would turn into. It would just be a crazy hodgepodge, but it doesn't transform, and it's just going to be an action figure. It's kind of one of the few X-Transbots only action figures they make. It's $130, but it still doesn't transform. I think they should have tried to target like $70 on this. And then the last promise from years ago, another half-decade old. This thing might actually be a decade-old promise. I'm not sure. But this one is their Galvatron, or they call it the MX4, Abaddon. I know people say it's pronounced Abaddon, so I understand that. I'm still going to call it Abaddon because they abandoned Abaddon. So, with a bonus, and I'm not sure what that bonus is. It's supposed to come with 6 interchangeable faces, a bonus toy gun, pre-orders only, a hand cannon, shooting effect, spaceship, crushed crown, minifigures times 3, so 3 minifigures and a bio card. Now this is another one of those that Fanstoys already made, and a lot of people were speculating they stopped making it because Fanstoys was so good, or whatever, but we'll see what this one looks like when it comes out. It does look to be a very nice looking figure in renders. Let's see how it looks in real world. Will it look better in real world than, say, the Springer Virtus looks better in real world, in my opinion, than it did in the renders? So we'll see if they can pull that magic off, especially with the premium paint that they're doing now, not just shiny plastic. Here's Y'all mode, and it is possible, although this doesn't look great from this picture, it is actually possible to make a better alt mode than Fanstoys. So Fanstoys alt mode was a bit too short and stubby, and I don't really display an alt mode that much, but it is quite possible to do better than Fanstoys. And of course, I think that's kind of the bar that most of these companies go by. X-Transbots and a whole lot of these other ones go by the Fanstoys bar. Are they going to achieve that? Or are they going to price theirs way lower and just not shoot for it? So that's kind of how it feels. But will they get this out in September? Who knows? So the big question is X-Transbots really getting caught up? Are they catching up right now? Or are you one of those people that's, I got to see it in my hands to believe it? I got to see it to believe it kind of person. So I understand that. It's been so long. People are skeptical even with in-hand pictures and YouTube reviews out there that will they even get theirs? Did you get any of the recent releases, such as their Cyclonus or the G2 trailer? Have you gotten any of those, and are you happy with them, or do you have issues with those? Or are you looking forward to other promises that they have made that they are starting to keep? The keeping of the promises from decades old? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.
In other words, Perceptor, we're outnumbered. Keep at it, Springer, my boy. Helps at hand. I got better things to do tonight than die. Tough and Hot Rod just bought it. I can't deal with that now. Remind me to give the autopilot a raise. It's rough out there, kid.
Try it on.
Think about what you want to do before you do it.
It's kind of tricky. Whoa! Oh!